Welcome to our new episode of Ask the Trade Pros, a show where a couple trade guys talk about trade stuff.
Or anything.
We're here to answer your questions about your HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and other home systems, so you can keep your home running smoothly. I'm Todd.
And I'm Jordan. Today we've got a voicemail from a very loyal follower, Leah. She has some questions about her natural gas bill.
Hi, my name is Leah, and my natural gas bill has been going up every single month. Why is that? What can I do to help that go down? I'm not using what I think too much gas, but what can I do? My furnace uses gas and my hot water heater uses gas as well. Can you give me some tips?
That's a great question, Leah, and we'll talk about that. Thanks for sending that our way. Like in our recent episode of the unexpected spikes in your water bill, there can also be a lot of reason your natural gas bill has been going up lately as well. Let's talk about the most common reasons and what you could do to prevent them.
I'd like to start with some seasonal change in natural gas bill fluctuations. One of the first things we always suggest to people is you take your gas bill from whatever month it is, say January of this year, and you compare it with the same month from the year prior. So if the therms that you've used in your gas bill are the same year to year and the amount you pay has changed, well, that's probably just a fluctuation in the price you're paying for the gas itself. It means your house has used the same amount of energy, you're just paying more for it. And we all know what's happened to gas prices in the last few years. They can go up, down, left, right, doesn't matter which way. The other thing is you got to look at some seasonal changes. So seasonal changes, what I mean by that is we have cold spells at different times of the year. So every January isn't the same as every January. Some Januaries are colder, some are warmer. So if your January bill seems particularly high, pay attention to how many cold days you've had that year. Are there more cold days that January than the year prior? Did you have a particularly strong December the year before and now you had a mild December? So you have to look at what's actually happening outside to see what your bill does, because some of those fluctuations are just naturally occurring.
So Jordan covered most of the logical parts of looking at your gas bill, therms, etc.
So I'm logical this time?
Well, that would be my point. 'Cause the first thing I would check is a leak. Could you possibly have a leak? Is that why your gas bill is going up? So if that was the case, do you smell gas? Gas has a very distinctive smell. Is your water heater being used more often? What is the age of your water heater?
How else could they check a gas leak, Todd?
Well, you could shut your gas off at all of your appliances, go to your meter, and see if it's still spinning. That's one way of telling. If it's underground, some of it's going to be undetectable. You may have to call your local gas company, and they can come out, probe the earth, and detect a leak. I come across it all the time, that there's leaks, and it's not known to the customer.
So they just check that. Maybe they shut every gas appliance off and just check the meter to see that it's still spinning?
Yeah, so if the house was piped correctly, every gas appliance should have its own shutoff valve. Now, you hope that the shutoff valves are functioning, but yes, you shut off the valves at every gas appliance and go check your meter to see if it's still producing gas. You could hear it, you could watch the meter spinning, etc. Age of equipment can also matter. So say you have a traditional tank water heater that hasn't been flushed in many years. You have all that calcium and sediment stuck at the bottom. Well, that gas is going to run for longer periods of time just to make that water hot or to the temperature you need it to.
Yeah, I had a customer with a problem like that. We changed out their tank water heater for a tankless and their gas bill dropped enormously. It turns out when we opened up the old tanked water heater, it was probably about half full of sediment. So instead of a 40-gallon water heater, they only had a 20.
That's true. I can tell you that my house was new and I put a tankless on prior to even moving in and using the traditional tank, and my bills were very low with that tankless water heater. So yes, that's a big deal. Other issues could be insulation in your home. How well is your home insulated? If this is something new and you just moved into it, you don't know what type of insulation you have, but you're used to a gas bill at another property, I would look in and check all that information. Look in the attic, see if your attic's insulated if you have one. Know what type of construction you have, what type of R value you have in the walls. Those are all factors.
Yeah, you could check anything that changed. So sometimes window seals wear out, sometimes door seals wear out. They might change from year to year. You might have done some alterations to the house, something that lets heat sink out of somewhere. All these things make a difference. You can always call in an expert. We can actually take a look at gas usage. We can take a look at thermal heat loads and stuff like that. We take something like a thermal camera and we could see areas of the house that are just colder than others. So maybe you're using one of the rooms now that you weren't using before, and that room needs more heat than another room needed. There are a lot of factors, especially in older homes, that change that kind of value.
Yeah, and you can also think of the human factor too, right? Billing errors, those do occur.
Yeah, don't forget you got thermostat issues. So if one of the spouses is turning the thermostat up and you don't know about it, or turning it down versus the year before, you don't know about that, that could change a factor. You have to make sure you know all the variables.
Yeah, or if you're like me, you set the heat from your phone on the thermostat in the morning and you leave and forget about it. So when you get home, it's 73 and the heater's been running all day. Good possibility.
Yes, if you have any questions on these things, you also consult an expert. A good licensed plumber or AC company can come evaluate your equipment, make sure that it's functioning properly, whether your heater's working properly, if it has a dirty filter or needs a cleaning. Some of that kind of stuff can affect the efficiency too. It's not always common, but may increase your bill 10% or 15%, somewhere in that line.
Sure can, which is a big deal.
If you've checked everything and are still not sure what's causing your gas bill, don't hesitate to call in a trade pro for additional help.
Thanks for tuning in today. We release new episodes every other Tuesday, so if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe.
And if there's a topic you're curious about or you have a good joke, send us a message and we may dive into it in an upcoming episode. You can find out our contact information in the show notes.
And a big thanks to Done Right Services for their continued support in sponsoring this program.